So I've implemented a server app that is supposed to run inside a local network. I needed a web app to make requests from a browser to the server app. It turns out you can't do this easily because of various security policies built into browsers. First, you can't make requests from a web app running in a secure context to an insecure origin. This is prohibited in case you are connected to public Wi-Fi that intercepts and collects web requests like passwords or bank card data. What if we make the server use HTTPS? This is technically possible, but you need control over the user's DNS and a public domain to issue an SSL certificate for your local server. Or you could use a self-signed certificate that's added to the trusted list by all users of that server. This route, however, isn't feasible for most consumer-facing software. What if I serve my web app from an insecure origin? This would work in a normal case of two different domains, once coarse headers are implemented on the server side. But this doesn't work for local IP addresses because some Wi-Fi routers are faulty and can't be updated. The Chrome team decided to block all requests to local IP addresses. You probably already know what coarse is, but this is going to be important for the storyline. When a website served from domain A makes a request to domain B, the browser asks domain B if it will allow the request. The browser does this by making an option request. Domain B is supposed to respond to this request with empty body but include certain policies in the headers. Imagine that website A is hacked and every time you visit that site, it makes requests to your online banking website. Now, that's not possible thanks to coarse. The problem is that developers sometimes make mistakes when implementing web servers, leaving security holes. Here's how you should implement your server. If request URL equals transfer funds and the request method is options, then respond with coarse policy, but don't transfer the funds. If the request URL equals transfer funds and the request method is post, then transfer the funds. If the second part of the condition is omitted, funds will be transferred even when the browser is only checking if the request is allowed. This can easily be fixed with the new release of the server app once the error is found. However, this security threat still exists in routers used by many people, and these routers aren't easily upgradable. So the Chrome team decided to block all requests to local IP addresses, regardless of whether they are options or something else. That's why you can't just implement coarse headers on the local server and think you're done. Google has a well-written document on this issue and recommends using WebTransport protocol. This lets you serve your web app with a secure protocol while making requests to an app running in a local network.